It is Wednesday, September 10th, 2025, and today it's all about Georgia, Tennessee. We're going to preview that game. We're also going to give you our new top 25 going into week three. I took an extra day to think about it. I wanted to really make sure I got what I wanted and put it together how I wanted. And I think we did a pretty good job of that. I'm really excited to get into that. So today's going to be a shorter episode. Top 25 game preview. That's it. So welcome in to Armchair Analysis. If you're new around here, please leave a like. Subscribe specifically. We're trying to hit 200 subscribers. 90% of people who watch these, over 90%, closer to 95, are subscribed. It's not a big deal, but it's free. It's free. And it brings you back here when more videos come out. We cover your team, perhaps. Um, might be a worthwhile deal. Who knows? But appreciate it either way. Thank you guys for tuning in. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get into today's show. And I guess we'll just go ahead and kick it off with the top 25. This is what we got going into week three. We've had a massive change around this top 25, and I went into this looking at it a little differently this week. I take a little bit different approach every week, but this I think is going to be the new approach that I take. It's going to be resume along with what I already had in mind. Like, I'm not adjusting my expectations for you. If you outperform my expectations, you get noticed. But every week we come back and look and say, who do I think would win on a neutral playing field? And this right now is what we have, and I really like where we sit this week. This is not a power rating. This is a ranking. However, I sit back and look at it a little more close than that. Who do I think would win? Who do I think would be able to take care of business on a neutral field? This is what we were able to come up with. So, not really any change in my top five. Really, my top six stay the same. No changes whatsoever. I didn't feel the need to change anything. Nobody played anybody good enough to change my mind. So that stays where it's at. Number 7, Oregon moves up a spot. They were going to either way, but Clemson looked bad. They dropped from 7 down to 14 in this ranking. Notre Dame moves up from 10 to 8. Really just confident about what they're going to do this week, confident about who they are as a team and the way they closed out that Miami game. I thought that was 2 playoff teams that played. That's why Notre Dame stays at 8. The same way I said about Ohio State and Texas, 2 playoff caliber teams that Texas just needs to figure out the Arch Manning situation a little bit. South Carolina comes in at 9. Like what they are, and this was a big thing. I didn't allow weather to overly affect my opinion. Like, if a team just didn't live up to the expectation, that's one thing. When a team is down 16 to nothing at one point, that's a problem. And that's where Clemson was, down 16 nothing to Troy prior to the weather delay. After the weather delay, they took care of business, but before that, it was not good. So that's where we stand on that. So South Carolina, good win. Oklahoma continues to improve, continues to impress. That was a big win over Michigan, and I think they did a great job of maintaining and controlling the Michigan offense while also being dynamic themselves. John Mateer certainly has opened up his Heisman campaign with that game they played in Norman last week. Illinois moves up to 11. One, because a lot of people in between them lost or fell. But secondly, because they looked really good. They shut down Duke in the second half. They played a really good game. Watched that entire game. Was it Sunday? No, it was Monday. Sorry. It was yesterday. Yesterday as I'm recording this, 2 days ago. But I watched that entire game. Really impressed with what Illinois is doing. The experience is truly shining through. They move up to 11. Texas Tech at 12. Not that they've done a whole lot. If I bought them as better than Texas A&M already prior to the season, I'm not going to just drop them for no reason there. Texas A&M looks good. Their defense feels a little suspect. We previewed that game yesterday. Clemson at 14. I'm not selling on Clemson. I don't see them as a top 10 team right now. Iowa State 15. Really like what they're doing. They continue to they played a really good game. 16 to 13 win last week. Looking to improve upon that. TCU. Big game this weekend. Iron Skillet. They'll face SMU. A chance to really push their narrative, or push the narrative I've been pushing about TCU being really good. Auburn 17. Just love what they're doing so far. They get a game this week, I believe, to kind of proved to us, but they've already proved what they needed to. A win against Baylor, and then they looked good again last week. Didn't step down at all against Ball State. They're up to 17. Michigan comes in at 18. They didn't fall far for me. They actually only fell 5 spots. However, they just I still feel like they're better than the majority of the country. I just think that part of it came down to injury and missing a key part of the offense. Part of it came down to play calling. I would assume that that's going to change. I mean, I've been wrong by assuming that before, but I think some things are going to change. Maybe not the QB run situation, but there will be some differences in that offense. Indiana looks good. Just haven't seen them. I don't want to say I haven't seen them beat anybody, but I haven't seen them do enough to kind of sway my opinion one way or the other. I still feel like they're a top 20 team. That's where I leave them for now. Georgia Tech, a top 20 team. I think they're really good. They have a chance to really prove something this weekend with a win over Clemson. They get them at home. USF jumps in to number 21. The resume speaks for itself. Two wins over top 25 teams that I had prior to the season. I thought USF would be good. I did not expect them to be this good so far. That's a big win, going to the Swamp and winning. They play Miami this week. A chance to prove themselves. If they hang around, they are a bona fide top 25 team for me. If they hang around. If they lose and they don't really look competitive, maybe that's a different story. But for right now, USF looks the part of a G5 participant. Utah 22. I really like Utah. Want to put them higher. I just have to see a little more. Love what they did against UCLA. They did what I expected them to last week. Just need to keep seeing it. They have Texas Tech coming to town here soon. That's going to be a big game. Arizona State 23. They host Baylor soon. It's going to be a big proving ground for them too. They took a tough loss to Mississippi State. I don't think they're a bad team. I just think they got beat simply last week. So we'll see what happens in the coming days. But for right now, I like them at 23. Florida State jumps in at 24. They just backed up what they did against Alabama. Kept the offense in a really good rhythm. Didn't step down. Didn't slow down because of who they were playing. They have a different mentality down there. That's what this week proved to me. If there was anything, it was just a different mentality. And then Tulane at 25. The teams that drop out are Florida, Ole Miss, and SMU. Ole Miss dropped out simply because I think that there is an issue for them. I don't believe they're a team that's going to take care of the ball very well. Austin Simmons has turned it over quite a bit and has also fought some injury concerns already this season. I just don't know that I can buy into that right now, the way that things have gone. They are a good team. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. They are just not quite where I wanted them to be. Not quite where I wanted them to be. They're just not quite a team I think is going to be able to would be able to go in and win against the majority of this top 25. That's why they drop out. And then we lose SMU as well. SMU lost to Baylor. Baylor just on the outside looking in, coming back in. Missouri is on my radar. There's a bit of concern, though. That defense did not look great against Kansas. They did their job. They took care of business, especially in the second half, getting themselves back out front and winning the game. But early in that game, it was not good. So I hold a little bit of reservation with them. And then Florida's just outside. They drop out as well. But it's just they're just outside. I'm not completely writing them off. I said that a couple days ago on Monday. I'm not writing Florida off. I just need to see how they respond to this loss. And going to LSU this week would be a very big way to do that. So that's what we got on top 25. Let me know what you guys think. Glad to hear any opinions and all opinions on that matter. With that said, let's go ahead and bring up our preview for today. Georgia on the road against Tennessee. Georgia comes in as a 3.5-point favorite. That opened up at 6.5, so Georgia's coming back down a little bit, but the over-under sits at 49.5. The game kicks off at 3:30 p.m. on ABC. The game, of course, in Knoxville. You look at the way these two teams have played so far, and, it's no surprise Tennessee has taken care of business in their first two, scoring 45 and 72 points respectively. They've done their job so far. That's what I would say about that. The biggest thing here is they're not playing Syracuse, and they're certainly not playing East Tennessee State. This Georgia defense has been really good so far. That's one thing we could say that we know for certain is that they take care of the ball. They were impacted by weather delay too. Only beat Austin Peay 28-7. I'm not holding that against Georgia. Who would? Who is legitimately sitting back and saying, "Man, Georgia only beat them 28-7." We've seen them do worse and still be a better team. I think Georgia is the better team in this game. I think their defense is going to be able to create some issues. Some storylines I look at going into this game. Obviously, Jermon McCoy and Ricky Gibson, the third of both of those guys, two corners that are going to miss this game this week. And Gibson's supposed to be out and miss an extended period of time. Of course, Jermon McCoy coming back from that ACL tear he had in January. That's a big loss for the Vols secondary, who are going to need it because Georgia has been able to throw the ball pretty well so far, and you're going to have to utilize a lot of the safeties, a lot of safety help, I think, if you're Tennessee, to maintain Zachariah Branch and the rest of this receiver room. But on top of that, you're going to take away the help for guys like Oscar Delp, who I think are going to step up and play a bigger role in this game as well this week. I'm trying to take a look here, and forgive me for taking a little bit of time. I didn't write it down, but I wanted to see. I was looking for a specific stat that, for whatever reason, I didn't write down. I don't know why, but pulling it up. Zachariah Branch, Colby Young had 76 yards receiving in that game against Austin Peay. I know it's just Austin Peay, but still had 76 yards receiving. Those are the two leading receivers, but they haven't really thrown the ball a whole lot. As a matter of fact, only 46 receptions, 46 completions throughout the course of this offense. But they've only thrown 58 times from Gunnar Stockton. They've not really needed to do so. The run games have been solid. Nate Frazier looks good. Dwight Phillips has 115 yards. Chauncey Bowers has 80 yards. Gunnar Stockton himself has 86. That's been a big point of interest for me as well. Gunnar Stockton in a run game. We saw him quite a bit have a really impressive run against Marshall early in that game. It's going to be interesting to watch. I think Tennessee has a chance. They've got to obviously be able to continue doing what they've done in the passing game, but also they need to be able to run the ball. And that's something Georgia's done a really good job over the last several years of maintaining the run game and really making Tennessee quarterbacks beat them, and they haven't been able to do so. Joey Aguilar has not faced a defense quite as talented as this Georgia defense. He has faced Clemson. That's the best team he's faced, and that was when he was at App State. Now, I know what you're going to say. Not as talented of an offense around him. And I agree. That 100%, as a matter of fact. However, he was 18 of 41 for 218 yards and a touchdown. It wasn't a bad stat line. It just wasn't a great stat line. Wasn't really ever comfortable in that game. The issue here is that Georgia has not really created as much of a pass rush as I think we would expect them to. And I don't know whether or not that's by design or not. But certainly a point of emphasis, I think, this week is going to be pass rush, creating issue for Joey Aguilar, making him, not only that, but making him beat you. If you're going to lose this game, lose because Joey Aguilar has the game of his life, and not because Tennessee runs the ball all over you. And I think that they're going to have a chance to do that. Obviously, a focus on Chris Brazell, who's been the leading receiver so far for the Vols in the first couple of games, if you're the Georgia defense. When you look at some other keys of the game, obviously with Tennessee, stick to the run. Stick to it. Continue to try it because you're going to need to. I think that you cannot just rely on this to be a Joey Aguilar, throw it all over the yard and win the game. I don't think it's going to happen that way. This is going to be probably a slugfest of a game, and I think it's going to come down to whoever plays the best and steps up in the moment. Georgia, some things I'm looking at for them, create turnover opportunities. They've not created a turnover. They've created one. They have one interception this year. They have not forced a fumble yet. Create opportunities to take the ball away, whether that's in coverage, whether that's with pressure on Joey Aguilar, whether or not that's fumbles. Creating the turnover opportunities are going to be a big deal for this Georgia defense. The other thing I'm going to look at here is how they take advantage of this lack of depth at the cornerback position. I think Tennessee's in trouble here. This secondary is going to struggle a little bit. I already kind of mentioned it, and I say it here once again. The utilization of Oscar Delp, how he is implemented into this game, I think is going to be a big deal, or the running backs for that matter. because again, the safeties are going to have to help in coverage. I think it's not going to be one of those things where you can get away with leaving your corners out on an island if you're Tennessee. It's just not going to happen. It might be able to, a play or two, but it's not going to happen all game. So the utilization of Oscar Delp, the utilization of Nate Frazier out of the backfield or Josh McCray out of the backfield, whoever it is, I think can create some serious problems for the Tennessee defense. The other thing I had is make Joey Aguilar uncomfortable. The more out of the more uncomfortable he is, the better off you are in a chance to win this game. Moving on to the Tennessee side, again, run the ball, keep the crowd in this game. I think that's a big deal. Bigger than people will realize in a game like this is that if you can keep the crowd in, especially with a young quarterback, Gunnar Stockton hasn't had too many road games. As a matter of fact, his one start was in the semifinals in the college football playoff last year. Sorry, the quarterfinals last year in the college football playoff against Notre Dame. That was a neutral site game. His other appearance was a neutral site game in Atlanta. And then you have 2 games here, 2 games in Athens, Marshall, and their game last week against Austin Peay. This is his first true road game as a starting quarterback, and how is he going to acknowledge it? How is he going to step up to the occasion? I think the Tennessee crowd is going to be a big part of that. We might see some struggles early from him. And then again, I say it here because I mentioned it on the other side. Watch out for Oscar Delp, because he is one of those guys, a lot like Brock Bowers the last few years. He can really create issues in the passing game, especially if you're not paying attention, if you're worried about the wide receivers. So those are some things I'm looking at. Again, the lines sit at Georgia minus 3.5, over under 49.5. My prediction for this game is Georgia 27, Tennessee 17. I think the Bulldogs will get it done, and it'll be the defense that really steps up and helps them get the job done. Whether they create a turnover or two, slow down the run game, make Joey Aguilar win it. I think they're going to be able to get the job done. So that's who I'm taking here. Again, Georgia 27-17. Let me know what you guys are predicting here for this game this weekend. Really exciting. Tomorrow, I haven't decided. I'm going to just surprise you guys what I come up with for tomorrow. I don't know what we'll see, but one way or the other, we will have a preview for you tomorrow. So appreciate everybody tuning in. Hope y'all have a fantastic rest of your day, and hopefully you'll tune in again. Leave a like, subscribe if you are new. Help us get to 200 subscribers, and yeah, would love to see you guys around. Let me know in the comments who you guys are taking, Georgia or Tennessee. Let me know your thoughts on the top 25 that we dropped. But again, appreciate y'all. Have a great rest of your day.